Christy Lee, My Sabile, and well back in the field, Bound for Earth, Exceline, Hera. Then came Sugar Rush, Flight Academy. I've got the looks, pulls up quickly at the end.
So Avoid Lightning winning the last race in Sydney as we come into the mounting yard for the Crown Golden Ale Caulfield Cup. And My Iraqi last year was fourth in one of the world's great races, the Japan Cup.
Since the Japanese quinelled the Melbourne Cup in 2006, we've had to be very wary of their stayers, and now they're back. This horse has got some excellent form in Japan, which is why he is top weight, 58.5 kilos here. But interesting thing with him is he hasn't run since May, and the jockey, Zach Purton, says you never quite know with this horse if he's on or off. So he looks pretty bright and alert in the mountain yard. He's got the hood on like a lot of Japanese horses do. He's also got a little, I think it's a good luck charm in his tail that the Japanese put on their horses, and he looks an absolute picture.
He does. Richard Green Moon, can he become the 15th horse to win a Caulfield Cup and a Melbourne Cup? Yes, in the opposite order to most of them. Look, I doubt it. I don't think he's going quite as well as he has been going. He's a former Melbourne Cup winner, of course, but he ran nearly last in last year's Melbourne Cup. And since he came back this spring, his run in the Turnbull Stakes, which was his last run, I thought was just okay. Nothing better. His stablemate C Moon had fantastic form in Europe around Dunedin, Red Cadeau, all these top horses. Hasn't quite shown it here. No, he won the Hardwick Stakes over the 2,400 metres, and he won the Herbert Power Caulfield over 2,400 metres last spring. So maybe he's peaking at the right time. He's running the Bart Cummings over 2,500 last start. Just a fair run, but I tell you what, he can stay the trip, and it wouldn't be the biggest surprise if he finished in the first four. What about Gay and Tommy Berry with the offer? Sydney Cup winner this year, Simon.
Yeah, look, he's 3 for 2 wins at this distance. He excels when he gets over this distance. A little cloud. He was vet-checked earlier in the week. His action wasn't quite right. Now, I'm just looking for any abnormalities in the horse. He's bright. He's well. He's really wanting to get on with the job. He wants to race today. He's drawn very awkward out deep. So watch for him just to roll forward, tuck back, try and get some cover somewhere. I think he'll be strong, and if he's sound, he'll be very, very strong at the end of this race, and don't leave him out of your multiples.
Okay, won a Caulfield Cup here with Descarado 4 years ago. She won last year's Melbourne Cup, 5 golden slippers. Tell us all about Sizemore. A last start winner at Newbury in a pretty important race, Francesca.
Ooh, yes, and he's just having a little buck and a kick there. He's feeling very well in himself. Now, if you watch his races from England, he's an exceptionally tough stayer. He really grinds out his races, so he's going to want a lot of pace on today. He is drawn quite low, so he's going to need a bit of luck in running, and he's going to want to start winding things up a long way from home. They put the winkers on here, which Craig Newitt said it's really woken him up in his work and hopefully given him a bit more speed and a bit more tactical speed, which is what he's going to need here. He'll run a really nice prep for the Melbourne Cup, I think.
Richard Hawkesbury was favourite last year and he finished 7th.
Wasn't a bad run last year, and he's going well enough this year. He won the Chelmsford Stakes in Sydney over 1,600 metres 3 starts back. That was on a heavy track. I'm just not sure he's going as well this year as he was going last year, and he couldn't win it last year. So I think for the first of Chris Waller's 4 runners, he's up against it this year.
Well, Janoob cost about $5,000 when they bought him in England. He was such a cheapie, but he's won 6 of his last 11, including the Group 1 Metropolitan.
Yeah, first up this time, 1,200, okay, 14, yeah, and then went bang over 1.25 miles, and really stood up and looked like a horse that was ready to go on with it. And he did that because he won over 2,400 metres and got his Group 1 last start in the Metrop. He loves these conditions. I think he'll roll forward from his outside barrier. Just needs a little bit of luck to tuck in, and then if he rests along the back of the hill, he's the one I want to be riding. I think he can win, folks.
So he's the second of the Wallers, the third Moriarty. He was 10th last year, beaten under 3 lengths.
Yeah, well, there were quite a number of horses in that same boat last year, beaten not far. He has won up to 2,400 metres, and he won his last start in the Craven Plate in Sydney over 2,000 over Rising Romance, who's obviously given a chance as well. I'm just not sure at this level that he runs the full 2,400 metres. Maybe at a slightly lower level, yes.
I don't think we can worry about that with Who Shot the Barman, because he'll eat the 2,400 metres, won't he? He's won an Auckland Cup and last start winning the Bart Cummings.
Yes, no doubt about that, Bruce. And what happens here with him at Caulfield is I'm really worried about him hitting a flat spot. And look, at Flemington, he was good over the 1.25 miles. He's really going to love this hot speed, real good, genuine speed here at Caulfield over 2,400 metres. But he'll need that time to wind up. He can't afford to get caught up anywhere. And he'll be strong at the end of it. If you like him at home, put him in your multiples.
Richard, Dwayne Dunn and David Hayes have combined once before with an imported horse, Torquay, to win this race.
Stipulate, interesting runner. He's never won beyond 1,800 metres, and he's up to 2,400 metres here today. He's always looked like he would do that. He won the Heatherly here at Caulfield over the 1,700 3 starts back. His runs since then have been fair. I think he's stretched. I don't think he's proven enough at the 2,400 for mine.
Well, this time last week, Ladari wasn't going to get a run, Francesca, but now when you look at the form, second in the Turnbull, fourth in the Underwood, it's good.
Yes, exactly. The form is good. This horse ticks a lot of boxes. He's come through the Turnbull, he knows Caulfield, and he's got a lightweight. Now, he has got the Norton bit on, which is just going to help Ben Mellum settle him, because Moody said he tends to be a bit free in his races, but he has learned to settle a bit better. The 2,400 is a distance he hasn't raced in Australia, but he's won over it in France. Look for him to be getting a really nice cosy run on the rail and hopefully being there in the finish.
Well, 4-year-old mares, 10 of the last 11 mares to win have been 4-year-olds, but only 2 of the last 27 runnings as a mare won the race. What do you reckon about the favourite?
Oh, Bruce, if there's a horse that's absolutely peaking in the coat and the way they look, it is Lucia Valentina. She is absolutely jumping out of her skin. Now, remember, she missed a gallop leading into her last start win going into the Turnbull. She's tightened up beautifully, and she is ready to rip. She just needs a little bit of luck getting cover. She'll sit midfield, and she'll burst out at the top of the straight.
And Simon, Rising Romance has got similar form. She's another Kiwi 4-year-old mare.
Well, she beat Lucia Valentina over the 2,400 metres in the Oaks as 3-year-olds, and she's right on the mark. She just needs the luck from a tough gate. She presented well in the mounting yard. You'll know she'll be strong at the end of 24, but just needs the luck.
Tony McAvoy went to France to buy his horses for these sorts of races, and he qualified this horse last week, Big Memory.
He won over the 2,400 metres with a Herbert Power, and that was a very good win on this track. He did a few things wrong in that race. He can't afford to do a thing wrong here today because these are much better horses. I don't think he's quite got the class to do it, but he will be running on strongly. He does run the trip.
Brambles, like Hawkspurs, won a Queensland Derby. He's come back from a shocking tendon injury, Francesca.
Oh, hasn't he done well just to get back from that injury? And he's been running in career best form. He was brilliant at Flemington, and he's the kind of horse that goes forward and he plays a bit of a catch me if you can. He's not a flashy looking creature, but he is tough as the day is long.
Richards has thought Raudo would be better at Flemington, but he can stay. He's a German horse on the up.
He does stay very, very well. We saw that last spring when he won the Bart Cummings and then he backed it up with a third in the Lexus just before the Cup. He hasn't quite got to that level yet. He got to the 2,400 of the Metropolitan. He ran on OK behind Janub. Does stay the trip. Is a lightweight. Silly chance.
Unchained My Heart's best wins have been at Flemington. She's an outsider for David Hayes, and Stephen Baster's got the right.
I just don't think she's going well enough at the moment. She's at $150 on track, so that gives you an indication.
And Francesca, we've talked a bit about Regan Bayliss and Archie Alexander, the jockey and the trainer of Renew. This would be a fairy tale if this horse were to win.
Wouldn't it be? Archie Alexander, 28 years old, the young jockey, 17 years old. Look, this horse ran in the Herbert Power last week, and he was disappointing. Let's not beat around the bush. But he's a horse with a lot of ability. He looks absolutely incredible in the yard, but whether Archie's managed to turn him around in a week is unlikely, but hey, it will be a good story.
So the runners have made their way to the track. They've gone behind the barrier. Let's go and join Ryan Phelan, who's got the trainer of the favourite. I'm talking about Chris Lees.
Down in the mounting yard here with Chris Lees. I know you're no stranger to these big